Welcome back, Universal fans and Halloween Horror Nights fans alike. My name is Crazy Englishman, and welcome to another episode of Halloween Horror World. Today, we're going to be focusing on speculation for 2014's event. This video is going to be focusing on the Hollywood event, whereas another video is going to be focusing on the Orlando event. So let's dive right into the Hollywood. So right now, speculation is running rampant as to what's going to be back this year or what's going to be here for this year. I personally believe Walking Dead has a high chance of returning. One, it's a very popular IP. Two, the event has been a popular one for the past 2 years. They also have all the props in that from season 3 and for 2013's event, so they can replicate the whole prison and have it destroyed just like it is in season 4. So it's kind of a given. I believe Walking Dead will return. I know John Murdy has said at this point he's sick of zombies, but quite honestly, the whole event works on popularity. So I believe Walking Dead will return for one final year here at Horror Nights. Another possible IP is El Cucuy. Even though that's not an IP, actually, it's a character. Now, I know it wasn't too popular from last year. However, I'm seeing a pattern with La Llorona returning from 2011 to 2012. It was even a scare zone back in 2010. So we could be seeing a complete reverse of this. We could be seeing another maze in 2014, and then it becoming a scare zone where you can do anything you want with the character outside elsewhere. So we could be seeing that kind of a pattern. However, because the popularity on this maze wasn't tremendous like it was for other mazes, it's hard to tell. However, I wouldn't be surprised if it returns this year. Hopefully with a brand new story. We could be seeing new settings. It's the same with Walking Dead. With Walking Dead, we're seeing new settings, so we could be seeing a very Friday the 13th-esque maze where it starts out in the forest. It starts on the prison and then moves into the forest. So we could see that with El Cucuy, where they could completely change the settings to be a brand new maze. However, seeing as though La Llorona was pretty much the same maze from 2011, only with more gore effects, new lighting, that sort of thing, it wouldn't surprise me if it was the same kind of deal with El Cucuy. However, this is on my least likely to return, so if it doesn't return, I won't be surprised if it, and the vice versa, if it returns, I won't be surprised because we saw it with La Llorona. Another returning IP might be a huge one, and it's not even a maze, is The Purge. The Purge from 2013 was a scare zone that was in the front of the attraction at the front gates for Universal Studios Hollywood. The Purge could be seeing a big leap this year. I say this because with the movie coming out, there's a brand new film, sequel to The Purge, called Purge Anarchy, and it takes the setting from the first film, which was in a house, out into the city streets. So we could be seeing a backlot experience, a brand new backlot experience, expanded with a Purge theme. Heck, we could even see a Terror Tram experience. So it could be a big year for the Purge, because the Purge could also be a maze. Whether they base the maze on the Purge, heck, they could go Insidious. They could do both Purge 1 and Purge 2, have it in the house, and then move it out into the city streets. We've seen that they can do city streets with, especially with The Walking Dead when they replicated Atlanta back in 2012. So it could be interesting to see where they go with this. We could be seeing a bigger expansion of the scare zone to encompass the entire event. It could be Purge themed. We've seen that kind of with Saw. So with Saw, a few years back, we had both an icon. Even though the Purge doesn't really have an icon, it could be a major theme rather than an icon. We saw it have a Terror Tram, and it had a maze. So we could be seeing a similar pattern here. However, I do believe the Purge might have a big influence on this year. So let's move on to IPs that might be there for the first time. John Murdy said in a tweet that he was circling 2 television properties, one of which we can kind of assume is The Walking Dead, but the other could be either American Horror Story or even Sleepy Hollow. Sleepy Hollow has a few creatures. It's super popular right now. It just finished its first season. I have watched it, and it's actually a rather enjoyable show. It has a lot of monsters to pick from. However, I do believe the biggest candidate will be American Horror Story. American Horror Story has had 3 seasons. It's big, not as big as Walking Dead. However, it's still a big thing on television. So we could be seeing a 3-season maze. So we could start out with the murder house from season 1, and then, which is a haunted house story, move on to the asylum, whether it's the destroyed asylum in the present or the Briarcliff Manor that's completely preserved and it's a working asylum back in the past. I'm not sure. However, you could have maybe a bit of both and have Bloodyface, which is the serial killer in season 2, have him roaming around. And I think that would be a terrifying experience, because if you've seen a picture, which I encourage, go to Google and type in American Horror Story Bloodyface, you'll see the mask, and the mask is actually quite creepy because it's a very Leatherface vibe. It's made of human skin and teeth and that. So it's a very creepy character. So that's perfect for that section. And then you move on to season 3, which is Coven, and we could be seeing a couple of creature effects, like with the Minotaur. We could be seeing some voodoo priests and priestess. We could be seeing the Axeman, which would be a pretty cool character to see in the maze, but also zombies. But then again, John Murdy has stated he's sick of zombies. So at this point, we could have those 2 characters instead of the zombies and still be a successful maze. So that's how I would see it, as a transition maze, similar to what we've seen with Insidious and Insidious Chapter 2. Other IPs, the only other one that I can think of that would have a high chance of being there is Trick or Treat. Trick or Treat has been highly requested for years. John Murdy has talked about it in some degree. It's a very it hits every angle for John Murdy's golden rules. It can be performed by actors because it takes place as an anthology on Halloween in this town, but all the kind of creatures and that can be performed by humans. Even better, the series has an icon by the name of Sam, which Sam is a young trick-or-treater, which is a demon. He is the spirit of Halloween. And he appears in every story. Like, you'll see him cameo in every story that takes place in Trick or Treat. This leads me to one of my biggest wants. However, since I'm not going to be here for this year's event, it would sadden me not being able to experience it. However, you could have Sam as the icon for 2014. We haven't seen an icon in a while. We've seen kind of themes, but we haven't had a proper icon. And even Orlando, which is the home of icons and original icons, hasn't really seen an icon for a bit. So I'd like to see a return to that. And with Sam, it would make so much sense to have him be the icon for Halloween Horror Nights 2014, because then he can appear as a character in different areas. Like for a maze, you could even have him cameo in one of the mazes, because that's what he does. He cameos in every story that takes place in Trick or Treat. So that's kind of my thoughts. He could even appear on the backlot. So there's a lot you can do with that character. So other than Trick or Treat, at this point, it's very hearsay. Those are my most likelies. As we get further down the year, my opinions will either change, or they'll get stronger with possible evidence, or they will remain neutral. So it'll be interesting to see what changes this year as more things are revealed. So those are those are the things I believe will return, and those are the things that I believe will be in the event for this year. However, again, it's all speculative. So it will be interesting to see what happens. I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys want to return to Halloween Horror Nights 2014, and what do you want to see new this year? John Murdy has tweeted that he had a maze that will use a lot of sound effects. What does that mean? Who knows at this point? That gets my mind working to figure out what that is. So, what do you guys think? I want to know what you guys think. So, leave a comment below on what you think is going to be here this year, or what's going to return, that sort of thing. And, yeah, just let me know. So, this is the Crazy Englishman, signing off.